Hello, everybody. This is Val.
This is how we do it. Season your burgers on both sides. What I'm using is garlic powder seasoning. I'm going to use a little Lowry seasoning. And the Lowry seasoning is going to double for the salt. And then a little parsley. Fry on both sides. While you're doing this, make it go ahead on and start with some rice or some potatoes, which I have done. And what I'm going to do with this rice is I'm going to take some chicken bouillon and put it in the rice. I have 3 cups of rice and 6 cups of water. Chicken bouillon to flavor it. And it's also salty. Put you some butter in it. Any other seasoning that you would like in it. You can put some parsley in it to give it the green flakes throughout it. And if you want it to be yellow, you can put some turmeric in it if you want your rice to turn yellow. And I will be putting oil in it. My oil will be butter. Margarine, whichever one you want to call it. And then put a top on it. And let it cook. I'm finna make my broth on my meat. I just pushed everything to the side and open up that area in the middle. I'm going to cut up an onion and put it right in the middle of everything so it'll fry. Put me some flour. Now, I know some people say, well, why don't you use a chicken broth or a beef broth? The broth is already in it from this beef right here. It's going to be a beef broth. So I'm putting water on it because the broth is being made from the meat. The flavor is coming from the meat. So it's just a waste of bouillon or broth to add more broth to something that's already flavored and has broth coming up out of the meat, because that's how you make broth. It comes from the meat. Now we're going to stir these onions around in here. But these onions can really cook just by simmering. You don't really have to fry them or anything like that. But I will be putting some flour right in here. That's to thicken. That's my thickening agent. And the reason I'm doing that here is I want to mix it up so the flour won't taste like flour. It'll taste like the meal. It'll taste like the meat here. You don't want it to taste like flour when you're cooking it. You want it to taste like this right here. Now let's keep that mixed up. And as we mix it, we're going to add a little water. And I'm scraping up all of that goodness on the bottom of my pan. This is the simplest way to make gravy. Gravy was made like this for years in the South. Don't use milk, don't use wine, just water and the broth that comes off the meat. Season your gravy also. So when I get through doing this, I'm gonna put the seasoning that I put on the meat. I'm gonna re-season it. Every time you add something to your meat, re-season it again, because you're cutting down on your seasoning. Everything is getting thinner. That's why when some people cook, they'll say, "Oh, that food didn't have no taste to it." That's because they didn't season during every process of the cooking. Now I'm seasoning. Then let it simmer. This time I'm going to use a little black pepper here. I'm going to have to open it up. It hadn't been opened yet, but I will be using black pepper. This is the garlic powder. Now I'm going to mix the seasoning up. Now we're going to cover and simmer. By the way, if you don't have enough thickening in your meat, you can always add a little bit more flour to thicken up your gravy. This is what the rice is doing, but we don't normally let the steam out, just giving you a look-see. Okay, people, everything is finished. Let me show you the yellow rice. It has flavor in it. It has the parsley in it, and it looks like rice you will buy at the store in a bag. But you can simply do it at home just by putting the turmeric in it, and you can flavor it with some chicken broth. And so when you do eat it, it'll be flavored yellow rice. Now here is my hamburgers, beef patties with onions. There's my gravy. It's thick enough. It's just like I want it. And this is Val with This Is How You Do It. Don't you forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button, that everything button. And I appreciate you. Bye-bye now.